Hello everyone, welcome to ChessWiser, your wise choice to improve your chess. In today's video, I'm going to show you a game played between Garry Kasparov and Vesselin Topalov. So it is played in Hogaben's Group A 1999 round number 4. It's called Kasparov's Immortal. So before we begin this video, if you are watching this channel for the first time, please consider subscribing to the channel and press the bell icon to get notified for the future videos. So before we begin this video, there are few information I would like to convey before we start the game. The first one is being Kasparov almost sacrificed all of his pieces except the queen and the bishop. That is one thing. And the second thing, he played 4 brilliant moves in the game, and also I think 5 to 6 great moves in the game. So we will have a chance to see all of them in this video. So let's start the game. So Garry was handling the white pieces, so he opens the game with 1 e4. And here Topalov replies with the move pawn to d6. That's called the Pirce defense, right? And here after the natural response by white d4, the grabbing more space in the center, he goes knight f6, calling out knight c3. And after g6, he wants to fence out the bishop. And immediately sensing this idea, Kasparov plays the move bishop e3. What's the point? He wants to form this battery thing, and then he wants to exchange the important bishop for black. So here after bishop g7, he plays the move queen to d2 immediately. And in this position, if you are wondering about this move, you can play it. Now there is no place for bishop h6, right? So you have to play such a moves like bishop to g5 and then h4 g3. The bishop will end up in g3, right? So or you can simply leave and give up the bishop. It's not wise to give up the bishop early. So you have to go that bishop g5, h4 and then g3 line. So here in the game, Topalov plays the move c6. He wants to expand on the queen side with the move pawn to b5 and then b4 later. So he plays the move c6 here. And after this, Kasparov immediately plays f3, which prevents the move knight g4. So he doesn't have to worry about knight g4 anymore. And after this move, he plays pawn to b5. He is now pushing the pawn to b4, and he may dislodge the knight also. If we don't play the move pawn f3, and this pawn would be hanging, and once he takes on e4, that would come with a tempo on the queen. So that's why he has to play this move, and that's a multi-purpose move, and it stops knight to g4 also, right? So here after b5, he plays the move knight ge2, supporting his brother. And after this, Topalov does the same with knight b d7. So bishop h6 now. And here you cannot castle like this. If you castle, no problem. We can simply continue with h4, h5 idea. As Fisher said, no. So sack mate, open the h file, sack mate. So that kind of a problem would arise. So he plays the move bishop h6. And that allows him to take with the queen. And this queen is now preventing from castling, right? So after this move, he plays the move bishop e7. So he is planning to castle on the queen side now. So Topalov. So here Kasparov plays a3 to stop immediate b4. So here he goes e5, striking in the center. So he wants to develop the queen on e7 sometimes. He could go queen c7 also. But he wants to go to e7. Maybe Kasparov would castle on the queen side too. And the rook would come on to the d file and x-raise the queen. So he plays the move castles, so queen side castling, and he plays queen e7. So king to b1, prophylaxis move. Most of the times when you are castling on the queen side, it is wise to move your king to b1 without waiting for your opponent to take some advantage on a2, so something like that. So king b1 is an excellent move, and after this a6. So what's the point of playing a6? He wants to fix this pawn so that we can advance with a c5 to break open the center. And here he plays the move knight to c1. So the king move is actually helping the knight to land on c1, and the knight would go to b3, and that would help to support the center. And not only that, we can even go to a5 to harass the bishop. So here Topalov castles on the queen side, and after knight b3, e takes d4, rook takes d4, and we have the move c5. If you look at this position carefully, it looks like black is doing better. But the problem with the last move is after rook to d1, since c and e pawn has moved or exchanged, right? So we have a hold on d5. That means white would try to occupy with one of his pieces. So to prevent that idea, Topalov plays the move knight b6. Now it's covered multiple times, so no problem on the square anymore. But still, backward pawn is a backward pawn, and it may cause some problem for black later in the game. So he plays the move g3. G3 is a normal move. It just opens the diagonal for the bishop that would come with the tempo on the king. So he moves the king away. So king b8. So similarly, what we did in the or what we did for white. So king b8, and then he goes knight a5, Kasparov. Bishop a8, avoiding the knight for a bishop exchange. So bishop h3, pawn to d5. So now it's time to push this or break the center, and now he plays the move pawn to d5. So here, as you can see, the queen was there for quite some time. So Kasparov brings the queen into the game by playing queen f4 check. So that's gains some time on the king. So king has to go to a7. If you look at this position carefully, the king doesn't have any escape square to go to. So that means black has to be very, very careful. So rook h e1, it's an excellent move. So here after this move, it's actually it's pretty much forced to play the move d4, or it's very tempting to push the pawn to forward, right? And after d4, instead of retreating the knight back here, so Kasparov plays this stunning move, that is knight to d5. Why it's a stunning move? It's because you have to capture one of with your one of your knights, right? So if you capture like that, he plays the move knight b takes d5, and you have to take back with the pawn. So e takes d5. So there is no time to capture the pawn with the bishop or the knight. So we have discovered the attack on the queen. So he has to play moves such as queen to d6, and here he plays the first brilliant move, that is rook takes d4. So what's the plan? This plan is very simple. If you are to capture this pawn, we can simply take back with a rook, and we are gaining time on the knight, right? So he has to take on d5. And after that, we can take on f7 check, king b6, and we have knight b3. This position is clearly better for white. So going back in this position, Topalov plays the move c takes d4. He accepts the challenge. So he grabs the free rook. But here comes the twist. The first twist, or the second brilliant move, is rook to e7 check. If you take this again, it's a free rook. It's actually a free rook, but in return you have to give up your king. So like this, queen takes d4 check, king b8, and after queen b6 check, we have bishop blocking the check, and we do have this knight to c6 check, forking the king and then queen. But that's not the point here, because the king is forced to go to the corner, and after that it's a checkmate. So Topalov is forced to play king to b6. So he cannot touch the rook, but he was given the chance to capture the other rook also, but it would end in the checkmate. So he plays the move king b6, but now the problem is he is attacking the knight, right? So but he doesn't care. Kasparov doesn't care about anything, but he plays the move queen takes d4 check. So queen takes d4 check, and the king is forced to capture the only piece, right? So king takes a5, and now comes b4 check, and after king a4, and now we have to give only one check, and that would end in the checkmate. So for this reason, he simply plays the move queen c3. Now he is threatening the mate. So queen to c3, and after this move, you cannot take with the bishop and defend the square, because it's an excellent mate again. So if you play like this, then we have king to b2. And in case if you are wondering, can we capture the rook like this, then we have excellent sacrifice again, queen b3 check, bishop takes b3, and we have c takes b3, pawn checkmate. So beautiful checkmate, right? So Topalov knows this, so he doesn't want to go down this line. So he plays the move queen takes d5 and covering this point. If you play the same move king to b2, and Topalov can easily pin your queen to the king, and he can simply win the game. So Kasparov is very careful. So he plays the move rook a7. Again he is threatening the mate. I think after the move number 18 or 20, every move is coming with a punch. So you cannot breathe for a second also. So you don't get any tempo. So he comes and he hits your hits with every move. So you have to respond very accurately. So he plays the move bishop b7 here. So what's the point? He is defending the against the mate against that a6 point. So immediately Kasparov says, okay, I can simply take it, and again you cannot take my rook, right? So that is another brilliant move here. So rook takes b7, and here comes queen to c4. It's an excellent move in this position because he is trying to collect the or exchange the queens, but the problem is the knight is hanging. With the last move, again he is threatening a mate. So as I was mentioning, every move is coming with a punch. So after this move, he plays the move king takes a3. So we have queen takes a6 check, king takes b4. It's all forcing moves. You cannot avoid anything. If you can, it means the king doesn't have any square. Otherwise, you are getting checkmated. So he plays another move, that is c3 check. So if you are to go to king to c5, you are again getting checkmated, or the king is getting skewered. So I mean the queen can be lost. So here there are a few variation we should check. In the game he simply took the pawn. In case if you play the move king b3, then we have this move, queen a2 check, king takes c3, queen b2 check, and now the king is forced to go to the light squares, and after this bishop f1 check wins the game. So there are a lot of dangerous lines available in this position. So he plays the move king takes c3. So there is no other way to continue the game. So queen a1 check, king to d2, and we have queen b2 check. And in this position, if you play the move king e3 or e1, let me show you that. So we can have a rook e7 check. After king takes f3, queen to g2 is a beautiful checkmate. So knowing this idea, he plays the move king to d1, and again here he plays the fourth brilliant move of the game, that is bishop f1, trying to deflect the queen away from this the c file. So after this, in case if you are wondering about capturing the free bishop, then we have a queen c2 check, king e1, rook e7, followed by queen blocking the check, and it's a mate. So here after bishop f1, he plays the move rook to d2. So he kind of it defends the mating threat, as well as it addresses the queen's post. So he plays the move rook to d7. It's again a brilliant move because it simply pins the rook to the king, and that forces him to take the other rook. Now we are in a position where Kasparov has only 2 pieces on board. So as I told you earlier, Kasparov sacrificed all of his pieces except the bishop and the queen. So here he plays the move bishop takes c4, and after this, so b takes c4, we have queen takes h8, and this is a complete winning ending for white. So after this, he plays the move rook to d3, queen a4 check. It's not a check, sorry, queen a8 and c3, and now comes queen a4 check. So king e1, pawn to f4. So because that was hanging, so pawn to f5, stopping any pawn advance or any ideas for white. So king to c1, rook to d2, and now comes queen to a7. And after this move, Topalov simply resigns the game. It's because Kasparov is going to pick up all the pawns which is there on the king side, and not only that, if you are to capture this h2 pawn, then your rook is hanging. So simply the queen check will win the game. So considering all of this, say for example, if you don't capture this and if you advance your pawns like this, then we can go queen b6 and trying to attack the other pawns, and we can easily pass our pawns and win the game. So considering all of this, after this queen a7 move, Topalov resigns the game. What a game by Kasparov. It's really an immortal game. It's the greatest chess game of all time. Or yeah, so that's it for the day. What do you think about this game? And let me know your ideas, thoughts, suggestions in the comment section below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and in case if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please consider subscribing to the channel and press the bell icon to get notified for the future videos. As usual, this is Chess Visor, your wise choice to improve your chess.